When you write what you know, you write what I like. Hello, everyone. I'm author R.L. Raintree. This is Reels and Reads, where I give honest reviews and occasional spoilers. Today's book is Booked Boyfriends, Bad Decisions by A. Blossom. Apparently, I've been following A. Blossom for about a good year and never got around to reading one of her books. It definitely wasn't intentional. But luckily for me, she did a video asking why we weren't reading her books, and I thought, why am I not reading her books? Never even occurred to me that I hadn't. So her advertising is definitely working. Hopefully she sees this and she realizes that that video did work, because the first thing I did was go straight to Amazon and download this book from Kindle. Now, this is a short story. I don't even remember it being 200 pages, and it's available on Kindle Unlimited. This is a book that only a book talker could write. And even though a book talker is the only person who could have written this doesn't mean that people who aren't a part of Book Talk aren't going to enjoy this. But this is definitely one of those things where someone who has lived the life or is on the verge of living the life has definitely written this. The attention to detail and the understanding of what we do for a living was definitely present in the way this book was written. So the name of the main female character is Harlow, which I don't know if a lot of you are aware, but Harlow is actually a style of romance novel, just like Harlequin can be as well. But using Harlow is like a popular, like dime store Fabio style romance novel name. So I caught that right away. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but I caught it right away. Now, Harlow has a crush on her best friend. Her bestest friend, and his name is Hashim. Now, I'm going to disclose a thing or two here. I actually had a crush on a guy named Hashim. And obviously, I'm a romance author, and obviously, I'm a book talker, so I was already locked in. I'm already biased in favor of this book because it seemed like it was about to write my life. Anyhow, Harlow is a book talker, more of a book influencer than a book talker. She has a huge following. She does influencer trips. She does other kinds of content, like lifestyle content. So it's not just books. So she's more of an influencer than a book talker. Well, she gets invited by a major company on a couples trip. Now, this is just a deal of a lifetime if you're an influencer, if you're a book talker. The catch is that it's for couples, and she needs a man. She does not have one. And every man that she has chosen basically canceled on her. And as luck would have it, her best friend would come by, as he has done every single year, to bring her flowers for Valentine's Day, because apparently she's been picking some ain't shit men. I'm just going to say it. Because if your best friend, your male best friend, has to bring you flowers because the man you with can't never seem to get it done, baby, you've been dating ain't shit men. I'm just going to say it. But he comes by to drop off some flowers and sees that she is not okay. From there, we're on an adventure in a completely different country in Africa. And, I don't want to say too much more than that. I can just say that the shenanigans shenaned. We have ex-lovers popping up. We have a relationship that's supposed to be fake that is progressing into something that's real. We got a lot going on. And it's not hard to follow. It is a very simple plot. It's not something that's going to make you confused or something you have to annotate to keep up with. But I will say that I found myself going, woo, like a cheesy sitcom audience member. There were times when I was talking out loud. I will say that the love scenes were, yeah, they were good. They were good. Those of you who like to have marital aids nearby when you read romance novels, make sure it's charged before you read this one. This was very well written. Again, this clearly came from somebody who fully understands social media as a book talk person, fully understands what it's like to, have a romantic relationship. This isn't smut. Let me be very clear. This isn't smut. This is romantic. Everything from flowers to, candles and the meal and just listening to her, simply just listening to her, what she wants and what she needs. This is the epitome of what romance is, not smut. But that don't mean these love scenes weren't filthy, smutty, nasty little things. They were wonderful. In fact, I loved them quite a bit. My only criticism for this novel was the ending, which I'm going to confuse you guys a little bit. It was definitely a romantic ending, definitely cinematic, but I didn't like it. What I didn't like is the speed in which it played out. See, there is a point in the novel right before we get to the ending, where I felt like that should have been stretched out a little more. There's a situation that happens in Zimbabwe while they're at this resort that I felt like needed a little bit more time. And I felt like it should have stretched out a little bit more, and that should have carried us to the ending from when she gets back from her trip. Unfortunately, what happens is the biggest conflict gets resolved before the last few pages or the last couple of chapters in the final act. And so when the big romantic gestures start happening at the end of the novel, not that there weren't others in the beginning part of the novel, it just kind of fell flat. It made me think like, girl, what's your problem? Like, we already solved this problem in Zimbabwe. Why are you acting an ass back here in the States? So that's probably my only complaint, is that the issue that caused the problem in Zimbabwe should have stretched back to her return to the United States so that the ending would kind of flow a little bit better. And again, this was, I don't even think it was 200 pages. If it was, it wasn't more over 200 pages. This is very close to being a short story, but I could see this making it to, at the bare minimum, a short novel. If they had taken their time when it came to the conflict that was happening in Zimbabwe. You know, I'm not just an author. I'm not just a critic. I'm not just a book talker. I'm a reader, and I can tell you that this book was definitely refreshing compared to the kind of stuff I'm used to reading. It's not a complaint. It's just nice to have something a little different, something refreshing, and something so well written. If you are a book talker or any type of social media influencer, if you're any type of content creator, you're going to absolutely love this book. The story is just so romantic. In fact, if you're one of those hopeless romantics, people who want substance with your smut, you know, people who want there to be courtship and foreplay before the love scene gets started. Again, you're really going to like this. That's what makes it so refreshing. I think when it comes to some of the indie books I've read, they just get right to Pound Town, but this one, there's a lead into it. The romance is part of the story instead of being like, you know, a little treat for people who are just there to read the nasty scenes. By the time some lovemaking goes on, and I do mean lovemaking, not hunching, although that most definitely begins to take place several times after that, it was so well deserved. So again, if you're one of those people who's a little deprived, and you have your favorite little friend charged, you're probably going to want it with this one. Not just because it's explicit when it comes to love scenes, but also because, again, it's very romantic. It gives you something to dream about. It gives you something to fantasize about. I rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. Again, the ending is what really hurt this book for me, but I can tell you that 90% of you who read this, that ending's not going to hurt it for you. You're probably going to give it 4.5 or 5 stars. But for me, again, I needed the conflict to be a little bit more pronounced, to go a little bit deeper than it did. The conflict felt a little rushed, and I needed it to last until the characters made it back to the United States so that the big romantic gestures that were taking place at the end would have felt more balanced and would have made more sense. It didn't make the novel bad. It didn't ruin the whole novel. It was just enough for me to take away a star because there was so much potential for that ending. And as a critic, not as a reader, but as a critic, I needed it to go a little bit longer. I needed it to slow down and actually develop a little bit better. But as a reader, I probably would have given it 5 stars. So once again, this is an excellent short read. If you're a book talker, an influencer, a hopeless romantic, you're going to love this book. Go ahead and head over to Kindle Unlimited. Get this in your Kindle or whatever your device is and give it a read. And once again, this is author R.L. Raintree. This has been Reels and Reads, and thank you so much for watching.